Hello and welcome. This is Mouse Gunner, and we're going to begin a brand new series covering Prison Architect. Now, this is a game that I had some interest in when it was in early access, but was waiting for it to be finished. And other things sidetracked me, and even though it got fully launched, I saw it on Steam Summer Sale, and I remembered my interest, and I thought it would be fun to pick it up and play it, and I thought it would be even more fun to cover it in a series. So I'm going to do that. Now, I have played the campaign in mode in the game and to completion, which took about 10 hours for me to finish. So I do have some play time in the game and do have a basic understanding of how the game works, but I have not actually done a normal playthrough of the game. So that's what we're going to do now. So I'm creating a new prison here, and the first selection I have to make is what gender I want my prison to be. And I think I'm just going to stick with the defaults for the most part. So we're going to have a male population prison, and then for the warden, I think I'm going to stick with the normal warden. The other wardens give you special abilities. So if we look at the lobbyist here, he halves the likelihood of receiving prisoners who are violent, lethal, volatile, deadly, and so on. And all the other wardens to give you some special ability depending on how you want to play. I think I want to stick with the warden because I want to see just how the normal play through goes. Now, as far as the prison setup, I think I'm going to go with the defaults here. So I'm going to start with a small prison, although I could go with a medium or a large one. I'm just going to stick with small. Fog of War is going to be set on, so this means if you don't have guards or cameras present in an area, the area will be dark and you won't know what's going on in there. Generate forests, I guess, will just give us trees and other vegetation in the land that we have to build our prison on. Generate lakes, similar thing, except you have lakes, but the lakes can't, we can't really do anything with them. They'll block sections, so we're not going to do that, and that's not default anyway. Generate buildings just means that there are, abandoned buildings around in the territory that you are going to be building your prison, and you can bulldoze them or keep them around depending on what you want to do. And then you have failure conditions, which is on by default, and this means if things go bad enough in the prison, I will be fired as CEO. So we want to keep that on so that we have, something to incentivize us to play a particular way. And then the rest add challenge or actually take challenge away. For instance, the unlimited funds means you can spend as much money as you like. So that's not as, challenging of a playthrough, but you can build more interesting prisons if you'd like. Gangs obviously add gangs into and gang violence into the prison, which is adding more challenge. Events, similar things, keep you on your toes kind of stuff. And then weather and temperature adds in, more things that you need to keep an eye on. For now, again, we're going to start with the default settings, so I'm not going to select a lot of these things. So let's go ahead and start. And the prison we get, all right, so we get some vegetation, but not a lot, which is actually a bad thing for us because you can actually cut down the trees and sell them. So not having a lot gives us a little bit less income out the gate, but that's okay. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is take a look at my prison intake. So right now I have selected all available prisoners, and currently there's 8 available prisoners, so I would intake all of them. Well, I want to have time to be able to build my prison, so I'm going to go ahead and do number per day and set that on 0 so we get no prisoners. Next thing I'm going to do is go to my grants and select my first couple grants. Now, I only have the selection of 2 grants at the moment. You can upgrade that later, but for now, that's how many we're going to have. So the first 2 that are usually a good idea to do are the basic detention center and the administration center, which I'm going to do. This is pretty much building offices for your warden and what have you, and it also asks you to hire a warden. So we're going to do these first 2. The other 2 are a little bit later down the road. For instance, building a medical ward and building a staff room is a little bit later down the road. So we're going to do a basic detention center and the administrative center. Now, I do get some money up front, as you can see, 20,000 up front, and then when I complete it, I get another 10,000. There's no real time limit for these, so you can take as long as you want to do them, although if you cancel it, you will have a fine. Now, I did notice in the campaign mode, when I would save the game and come back in, oftentimes the grants would break, and I would end up having to cancel them and then take them back to be able to do them. So I don't know if we'll get fined when we do that, but they should complete as soon as that happens, or at least we'll be able to see them over here and what we need to do. All right, with that being said, let's go ahead and start building our prison. So the first thing we need to do is do the basic detention center, which is building a holding cell, build a shower, build a yard, build a kitchen, build a canteen, and hire at least 2 guards and 2 cooks. And of course, we also have the administration center, which means I have to build 2 offices, hire a warden, unlock finance through bureaucracy, and hire an accountant. So let's start off with the holding cell here, and I'm going to build a foundation. Now, I have not really pre-planned any of these things, so a lot of these are going to be on-the-fly construction. And I can always do planning here to kind of get an idea of what I want to do. So let's plan a structure here. So this is going to be my first foundation. And let's say we make it about 12 by 14. That looks like maybe a decent size holding cell. Of course, I'm going to go off of that in a second here. Now, the next thing I want is a power station. And I want to situate this so that we have room enough for it. But I think I want to put it a little over to this side. Now, right about there looks good for my power station. And then I also want a water pump, which I'm going to put right about there. So with that placement, let's go ahead and draw our planned lines around it. Oh, you know what? That's going to be kind of difficult because it's not showing up in the planning. It would show up if I was under foundations, though. Well, that's kind of annoying. So we're going to build actually pretty much along this line, it looks like. And then I'm going to have to guesstimate from there. I can flip back and forth, so it's not that big of a deal. But we're going to go from here, and I'm just going to guess to about there. And then let's see how that looks. We go to back to foundations. So that's about good as far as width. We're just a little longer than we need to be. So I'll bring it back probably a little bit here. So I think about there is probably where we want. Yeah, that looks good to me. So we'll just erase the other line here. Oh, you know what? Actually, this is a little too far forward. So I'm going to want to bring it back, actually. And the reason I'm doing that... So wait, actually, how big is this? So we've got 9 by 13. All right, good. So we'll do 9 by 13, and then we'll just erase the walls that we don't want. There we go. So there's that plan. And then I'm going to do a structure for storage. So I'm going to draw that out to about there. But I want it to be a little bit wider than that. Probably about like that. And that looks like maybe there's good storage. So this is going to be storage. And then I'm going to build the offices off there. And I could build them down like this, but I don't think I want to do that quite yet. Instead, I'm going to build the offices off of here. And maybe we'll do something like that. And it looks... that even or not? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. How big do offices have to be? Is there a set size for offices? I always have trouble sometimes finding things. Oh, here, okay, 4 by 4. So that's 3 by 3. So we need it to be slightly bigger than that. That's fine. I can easily adjust that. So we just need it to come out like so. And let's take a look at that here in a second. And then draw a line across. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that is looking good. And now we're going to need to do some more offices off of that. So how big is this if we draw it out? So it's 6 by 11. So we're going to need another 6 by 11 there. And another 6 by 11 here. Now I'm pre-planning out all of the offices we will need. And let's go ahead and stick some doorway cutouts for us. So a lot of this first episode is just going to be planning for the most part. All right, now we're going to also need doors for some of our main areas. All right, so this is the plan for now. And this is what we're going to build for now. So first things first, let's grab our foundations. And, oh, of course, I'm going to have to move the utilities around, but we'll do that once we get the foundations up. But we can go ahead and delete those for later. All right, foundations. We'll start with concrete. This is going to be a nice modern facility, so we'll make it nice and modern looking. And we'll have that. Oop. Go. We'll do that. There we go. probably going to have to fix walls here and stuff. Sometimes the game kind of freaks out on you when you have your walls messed up. All right, so we're going to need an entrance here. So let's go ahead and grab a large jail door. And we'll put that there. And then we're going to do a small jail door for this one. This is going to be staff doors because it's storage. And then all of the offices are also going to be staff doors. All right, so that's our initial build. Let's go ahead and let the workmen show up and construct this. And we might as well speed up time so they can get through things a little bit faster. And I can also hire some workmen as well, and I think I'm going to do that. Now, one thing I'm going to want to do pretty much right away is get some exports being worked on, so, or at least have an area for it. So we're going to want rooms, and if I can find exports, there's deliveries, storage. So it's got to be green, exports, there we go. So if they cut down any trees or anything, they'll throw it into the export area. And we'll sell that off. Now, there aren't that many trees, but I at least like having that area set up in case we do need it. So we're good. And all the foundations should be set up. So we see construction here. Oh, I was going to hire more staff. I think 15 is a good starting point. It allows us to work on the construction faster, because until we get more workers, we might as well go up to max speed. I mean, until we get inmates, we're going to be a little bit short on cash inflow here, as you can see. But we don't really have a time limit. We don't have any prisoners causing us any issues, so this is fine. Now, there's going to be some janky walls here because of the way the foundations were on top of each other. So we'll be fixing that here in a second. But we have our plan out so that we can fix that easily. Okay, so we're going to need to come in and build the rest of the concrete walls here. So one there, one there, one here, all the way across, all the way down, all the way down. And that will finish that off. Now, I'd like to finish these guys off with some, flooring, but we don't really have the cash for that right now, so that's not going to be a priority at the moment. All right, so now we need that power station, and I would like to allow it. I think I actually made the area to house these things in a little bit too big, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. So we'll put that there, and we'll put this one right here. And then we're going to also need some capacitors. And I'm just going to set up with 6 for now, but we're going to need more later. Now, with a small prison, I might be able to get away with what power we have. For now, pretty good. And I'm just going to preemptively set some of these things up to lock. I don't know why I paused things. Lock open. Actually, no, I don't want these to lock open, because then that would allow prisoners to escape. And it will stay open as long as there's no prisoners, so not a big deal. All right, now we have to do the other couple things here. So we've got a kitchen, a canteen, and a yard. So let's go ahead and plan some things out here. I would like some fences. So we kind of have an airlock thing going on over here, because this is going to be the main avenue that prisoners can get out. We're going to fence off a lot of things, so I want to kind of restrict this as much as possible. So I'm going to come over to materials. I'm going to build out some fences, and we'll make it about 6 meters here. Now, this is going to make travel a little bit slower, but it's going to be another set of doors they have to get through. And there we go. Now, with that set up, I'm going to have to leave some room for various things. And I think, just so that I can keep track of things, I am going to do some materials here. So I'm going to do some paving here and out here. So this at least gives me an idea of the confines of where I'm going to put the yard, because I'm going to build the yard in a central area here. So let's go ahead and grab the room here. And I don't know exactly how big I want the yard to be, but I wanted it to be a decent size, obviously. We might as well have time go by. There's no reason to pause it at this moment. I'm going to wait for that stuff to get built so I have, somewhere to work off of. And I don't remember slowing things down. And I also might as well start setting up the offices here. So they need, well, you know what? We can see what they need. If I go to rooms and I just select offices here. And I draw it out. So. Oh, and I can also do the storage room now as well. There's no reason why not to. And then we need our utilities, so let's get on that. So we're just need to drag some into here so they can connect to the lights in here. And then over here, we'll do that. And then into there. And then we're going to need to draw across like so. So we light up all the offices. And then we can just go like that to get into each office. There. And then we should start hooking everything up. It looks like everything's powered in here okay. But we can always draw out the power lines later if we need to. Alright. So we're looking good. Let's get on to what we need. So we need an office desk, a chair, and a filing cabinet. So let's go ahead and get those objects. So we need office desk. I don't know if that's one of the basic things that shows up, but there it is. Okay, so how do we want to situate this? Well, we want the computer facing us. And I think we put it like that. And then flip it around. And do boop, boop, boop. Okay, now we need chairs. Go one there, one there, one there. Flip it around, one there, one there, and one there. And now we need a filing cabinet to finish everything off. So we'll just put it over here in the corner. And there in the corner. Alright, so we've got our 6 offices done. As soon as one is done, I can send a warden. Or hire a warden, and we can start working on the bureaucracy to work on these ones. Okay, we have one office, so let's go ahead and grab our warden. And I'm so used to pausing everything when I'm doing things because I'm used to having prisoners. Okay, so now that we have the warden, we can go ahead and do... It was finance, right? Yeah, finance. So, finance. And then we need to hire an accountant when that is done. And then we'll have that grant finished. Okay, so everything is powered right now, and we have the basics here. So now I'm going to want a yard. And again, I keep pausing. That's a habit I'm going to have to break for the meantime. So yard is this one. And I can modify this as I like for the meantime. But, I figure we do something like... Probably going to want it out a little bit bigger than that. Like something like that, maybe? And let's just do a little bit more expansion of size there. I apologize if that's not symmetrical, but that's okay. Alright, so there's our yard. And I'm going to want to have concrete tiles all around it. Just for aesthetic purposes. Now, again, I said we don't have really the money to do too much of this, but I do want this basic... Hard me to see the confines of the yard. Kind of the basic infrastructure here, so I know how to build my stuff. Okay. Now with that done, I'm going to want to have the canteen pretty much right along the central square. And let's go ahead and start the planning on that. So... And I'm going to pause at this moment just because there's not a whole lot... Well, we might as well let them finish this. But after the putting down of the concrete tiles here, I'm not going to have a whole lot for them to do. And there goes some of the trees. Hard for me to tell if the yard is fully in here or not. Alright. And this is right now not secure. Because we're going to build out a fence. As a matter of fact, I might as well do that now. I might have more buildings up this way, but we'll at least draw out the fence, and we'll put the fence probably along this line out. So I guess we can get on that and have the workers work on that while I do the planning. So do it out to about there. Now this is going to cost a fair amount of money, but it's going to be necessary, obviously. We'll do it to out there. Now this is going to be the main outer wall. I might do an inner wall. For now, this is going to be... Yeah, so that's in line. That's going to be the main outer wall. And we can modify it and things later, too. Okay, so now that we have that done, let's go ahead and do the planning here for the canteen. And one of the big problems here is just maximizing efficiency with how you can set up the tables for the prisoners. So I'm going to set this up to be decent size. Something like this. And I'm going to draw it out because I'm going to add the kitchen into it. So my initial game plan is something like maybe this. And that's just going to be our kitchen. But I want to see kind of like size-wise what is best here. Now, I'm going to go to objects. Unfortunately, I can do objects in here without messing things up. Now, I'm going to need tables anyway, so I'm going to lose some money from this. The first things I'm going to want is how can we maximize the serving tables and the space that they take up, and correspond that with the kitchen size. So I think I want to have it something like that, maybe a door in the middle. And then over here, probably going to have another one, and then a door out. So I figure we maybe remove this wall, although maybe we need it for the kitchen. And this is kind of where we play around with size. But right now, I'm thinking the kitchen being about that size is what I am looking for. And then we're just going to draw the planning here. Kind of modify it. And then do this. And if we go back to objects. Now, when I do this, I am technically purchasing the thing, I believe. But we'll have something in store. So like that, at least is the idea. At least I think that's how it works. Yeah, we're not getting the money back. So I'm getting extra serving tables here, which is kind of unfortunate. And then I have a staff door here and here. And then maybe we put a trash can here. I don't know. I don't know if that's the right size or not. Let's see. Table-wise, what we were looking at. So I can find where the tables are in here. There it is. Okay. So I want a little bit of separation here. Yeah, so I have extra serving tables. I should have just waited and allowed that accrue. But I think the way I've set up this is it's not going to be quite right. And I want there to be a single central canteen and kitchen. So I think planning-wise, maybe I'll make it a little bit bigger. And then it won't be too bad that we made the kitchen a little bit bigger. So there we go. And I think that's as big as I want to make the canteen and kitchen. But this is going to serve my entire population, so I want it to be a decent size. So we'll go like that for the kitchen. The main thing I'm concerned about is just maximizing space over here. So we go back to objects, and let's just have time go by a little bit so we get the serve. Oh, no, the serving tables were never deleted. Or... All right, there we go. So we have 5 to work with. If I do... Actually, I could even do this. This. I feel like I want to maximize space to get as many of these serving tables around. Maybe I make it more square shaped. All right, so these are how big? Let's just see from the planning aspect of things. Yeah, I wish these wouldn't go away, but I can find out one way or another. If I do that, is that about the size of the serving table? So let's go back to objects. So it's one shorter. So it is, again, 5 long. Okay. So with that being the case, I'm going to want this wall to be 5 long. Okay, so it's going to have to come out. So there's one. Then we have our door. Then we have another one. And then on this side, we want 5. 5. There we go. That looks about right. Alright, so I'm happy with this size. We'll just make the tables work as they need to. And then we're going to need entrances. So, let's do roughly about the middle there. Roughly about the middle over here. And I'm going to have 3 entranceways to the canteen so we can get prisoners in and out. That doesn't look quite like the center. Roughly about there. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be close. Alright, so now we can do the foundations, and we can go ahead and let time play while we do this. The foundation. Oh, and objects. I want to get rid of this. There we go. So I'm going to have 1 extra serving table than I really needed, but that's okay. And then objects, we need the doors. And I might put another staff door somewhere like over here. And then we'll do like that. Alright, so that is our canteen and kitchen set up. And now I have to do the detention aspect of things. So I only have to hire an accountant to get the one done. So let's just drop her in an office somewhere. Okay. I'm running out of daily cash flow, but that's okay. Once we get the detention center set up, I can go ahead and hire those 2 guards and 2 cooks right before we get some prisoner intake. So that's okay for the most part. All right, so let's get on the construction of the holding cell. So I'm going to need a shower and a holding cell. So first, let's start with the holding cell itself. Something like that. Now, how big does the shower have to be? Because I just want a very basic shower until we get the cell blocks finished. So, shower. There's no room size, so we could just do something simple like that. Now, right now, this says it's not enclosed and surrounded by walls, but I have a feeling if I did this, it would say that it is. So, the only way a holding cell will work is if it's walled off. So, to facilitate that, I'm going to have to remove... Let's do something like that. I'm going to have to build walls here, so... Go to materials. I keep pausing. Again, that's just a reflex. Like that. And then we'll make the shower in here. So if I grab object, we get the drain. We'll put that there. And then a shower head. Or 3. You know, and we can put a few in here. It's not a big deal to do that. We'll have a very basic shower done, and then we'll slap the shower in this space. There we go. So that's our initial setup. That'll give us a shower, a holding cell, and then we'll have the kitchen and canteen done here in a little bit. Now we're running a little low on cash, but we just finished 1 grant. We can take another one if we would like. Alright, so let's see what we got. We have short-term investment, long-term investment. These are things that take a period of time to get cash back. We're not going to do that because then that would leave us with no cash right now. These are a little bit harder to do. I may even hold off a little bit here. Well, staff well-being wouldn't be too hard. I just build a staff room and then have at least 5 guards. So that's not too bad, I guess. We'll do this one. And we get some cash. Oh, it's a completion bonus, though. This one would take forever for me to do, so I don't want to fill up that. This one was kind of a longer term, too. All right, so we'll just hold off doing another grant for the meantime. Okay, so now we need to get utilities done here. And it's always, and again, I'm pausing. It's always a good idea to get that like that. We're going to go off of this later, but for now, what I'm going to do is something simple like this. Oh, I'm going to need a toilet in the holding cell here to get that working. So go ahead and set that up. So what we need is a toilet and a bench. I'm going to put more than just one bench, but for the toilet, we might as well put it nearby where the shower is so we can just pipe over to that easily. And we'll go ahead and preemptively do that with the utilities. So I'm just going to do boop, boop, boop for the water. And for the benches, we'll just do something like, you know, just putting them around the edges here for the most part. That's probably good. We'll give some privacy to the guy on the toilet. And that will be good. In any case, I think this is a good point to put a cut in the video. So we're getting there. We're getting there on the first. We managed one grant, and we're about to get done with the other one. We just have to set up the kitchen area and get going on a cell block. In any case, I hope you guys have enjoyed. This is Mouse Gunner signing out.